I put 2 ounces of oil in. I got 40 degrees at the vent. Should be good to go. Now, this thing can go back home in Oklahoma to Doug's hangar, sit next to the black one, the Hudson, the GTO, and all the other ones that'll just sit there.
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. On this episode of Sam's Garage, Sam installs Lokar Performance throttle and kickdown cables in Teddy's 92 Camaro. Doug's Saleen Mustang gets a new air conditioning compressor. Sam's right-hand drive Supra drag car gets a new engine harness from Painless Performance. And Sam completes the accessories and cooling in Teddy's 92 Camaro. Sam installs the throttle and kickdown cables on Teddy's 92 Camaro. Once again, Lokar Performance comes through with the right parts to get the job done.
I was introduced to Lokar Performance in 2003 when we were building Hondas and Toyota Supras, but when we built the drag cars, the factory transmissions wouldn't last. So we had to use GM 350s, Power Glides, and 400s to make the Supras go fast. So Lokar, they make it possible for all engine swaps to be done in any vehicle. In this case, I got Teddy's car from Ed Morse Automotive Group back in the shop, throttle cable for the throttle body and the kickdown cable for the 700R transmission. I've got an Edelbrock style throttle body on top. So Kevin and Travis gave me 2 possibilities. One of them is going to work just fine. Once these 2 items are in place, the car is going to be mobile, running, and then Teddy can pick it up. Kevin gave me 3 kits. This is similar to an Edelbrock old school throttle body, but it's GM. The fuel rails get in the way. So this guy right here, which would have been my first choice, does not fit because it contacts the rail right there. So I took the one bracket that's similar to this, that's very close. I grinded all this away and put a spacer to shim it up from the throttle body, giving me a 90-degree angle. If I didn't do that, it would have been like a slight 10-degree angle and it wouldn't have worked. The cables would have gone this way. So what I did was I installed that piece on the throttle body. Now the next procedure is going to be my kickdown cable. The first thing we're going to do is pull the inside cable out. We're going to install our O-rings. We're going to install the cable, measure it up, hook it up to the bracket, making sure this is secure, and then we're going to pull it out again, put in our inner cable, measure it at full throttle, cut it, tie it in place, then go back and secure this. I got the outside cable going around the left side of my distributor, gives it a nice even path for it to stay put and not get binded on everything. I'm going to give it just a little bit of slack. I'm going to cut it right here, put my sleeve on it, and then I can go down there by putting my inner cable, hooking it up to the hook, and then cutting the inside cable. So I got my outside cable for my kickdown cable secure and installed. Now I'm going to go back to the transmission, pull it out of the transmission, fish my inside cable up, come up here, put it over here. I'm not going to cut and fully adjust this until my throttle cable is installed and at full throttle. So now I have pulled my outer cable back out of the transmission. This guy right here is going to go on a hook that is hanging right there. I'm going to put this over the hook, just like that. Don't forget, you guys need to lube those O-rings with some Silglize so that you don't have any binds putting it in the transmission. After adjusting the throttle cable, this bracket kept moving, and the last thing you want is for your stationary bracket to move. It's got to be stationary for everything to work properly. So I took the set screw and jam nut off the other bracket, drilled a 964 drill bit, used an 8/32 tap, transferred over, and now it's stationary and solid. I've got everything working with my throttle body itself and the pedal down there. I'm going to have Julie go full throttle, and then I'm gonna adjust my kickdown cable by pulling it all the way when she's at full throttle and setting my jam nut. And then you know you're set. This is on a GM. If it was a Ford or a Chrysler, in most cases you have to use a pressure gauge. That turned out pretty good. Now the guys at Lokar did say they had no part numbers for the specific kit, so a little bit of modifications isn't gonna hurt anybody. Don't be afraid to do so to get you guys through the job. Just do it with integrity, make it last a long time, and you should be good to go. Don't forget, when it comes to a setup like this, the most important thing is the kickdown cable. Make sure you guys adjust that accordingly, properly, so the transmission lives long, and you should be good to go. Now, all I gotta do is fix the fuel pump for some reason it doesn't work, and this guy should be running soon.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam does a favor for Doug by installing a new AC compressor in the Saleen Mustang. Last episode, the guys determined the original compressor was no longer functioning correctly. With the new compressor installed, Sam completes another AC service to make sure the system is running nice and cool.
If you guys remember last time we did an AC service on Doug's car, we found out that it was about 1.5 pounds low on Freon, and I suspect that I have a leak at the high pressure port. But we realized that after we had filled it up with Freon, that compressor's been 20 years now. It's locked up, the clutch was locking up, it was bad, so it was intermittent. Today I'm gonna put a new one in there. He's got no time to be here, he's running Hemsaw. So I'm gonna do a little favor for him. I got me a Motorcraft AC compressor. We're gonna sneak it in. Hopefully this sway bar doesn't have to come out, but if it does, it's only 2 13mm bolts. I'm gonna remove the AC hose from the top of the compressor. There's a 10mm bolt up there and I only have 1 inch, so I'm using my lowest profile tool to be able to get in there. I'm going to take off my harness connector, do it gently because Ford has a tendency to break the clip. These clips break if you put too much pressure on them. This is a Motorcraft compressor from Ford. It is not per the VIN number from the dealership. Unfortunately, that one is discontinued. So the connector location on the original that I took out was here on the side, and the new one is there on top. You want to put a little bit of dye on there. I just took my finger, went in here, I just moistened the top of them. Okay, we're gonna snake it back in. So all I'm gonna do is this bracket that's holding this little sub harness that feeds both the crank position sensor and the compressor. I'm gonna remove the top Christmas tree, and then that way I got enough length to go right on top and plug it in. What you can tell is you look at the green O-ring and you look at the black O-ring, and you guys can see how the green O-ring has been crushed and is no longer doing a proper seal. So this new one should take care of that little leak he had. If it continues to leak, then what happens is the receiver end, which is the aluminum hose, is going to be compromised, and therefore nothing's going to seal it. At that point, you have to replace the hose itself. For your tire, it's small. This tool here has that same profile, and then 1 step bigger. Then you've got this one. You just saw me use that on a Ford. You turn it around, you have a medium one, which is in between this one and the Ford one. This makes it very easy. This one you're able to put a wrench on it for you to be able to service your AC port Schrader valves. I got my high port, my low port connected. I'm gonna do a 10-minute vacuum with a 10-minute leak detection. On the car it says 2 pounds, 2 ounces. The compressor comes filled with oil. A lot of people will say put 8 ounces of oil in this thing. No, 2 ounces, okay? Because I put a couple ounces in it last time, and the oil sits at the bottom. It takes a lot of recovery to pull all the oil out of the system. So every time you guys charge a vehicle, there's always residual oil in the bottoms of the hoses. So you don't want to overfill your system with oil. I'm going to put 2 ounces. Now don't touch the machine, because the machine, if you disturb it, there's a scale in there, and the Freon bottle sits on that scale, and that's the only way it knows how many pounds to put in the system. So don't touch the machine. Once you guys put the Freon in your car, I got it on full max, AC max, meaning recirculate is on. That way you can want to get to 45 to 50 degrees. Right now it's cold outside. It's not the middle of summer, so you should see 40 degrees. You want to make sure the fans come on. Don't put a helper fan in front of the vehicle, because all you're doing is fooling yourself, all right? So you want to mimic an idle condition. That's the best time to test the AC system, is in an idle condition in traffic. So you want to make sure that the fan is up to par, doing its job, pulling all the heat out of the condenser. Well, we got this one completed. It's time for it to go home. The next project we're gonna do with Doug is gonna be a 1972 Datsun 240, and we're gonna be doing a turbocharged engine in there. It should be a real nice project, so stay tuned. Joe Sr.'s truck is a testament to how much NHOU adds protection to your vehicle. You guys sprayed this thing since it was new, right?
This one we sprayed about a year after we started our business. It's a 2013 F-150.
That is very cool. Let me tell you, I can see the protection underneath, but anytime I travel north of Virginia, I can tell how much damage there is because the vehicle's front fenders and bed sides are gone, 2 to 3 inches up. I can look at Joe's truck and there is nothing there. What do you guys do to prevent the rust there?
Well, this is just getting a basic oil undercoating every year. And what the goal is, the service, is to cut the oxygen off from the metal.
Let me tell you, this is crazy. When you, knowing that we're up here in New Hampshire, and I could just sit here and scrape off the layer of oil you got behind it, is a completely perfect frame.
Absolutely. I mean, this has a buildup on it from all the years. We oil it, it collects road dust, it accumulates a layer of buildup. But now, once you wipe it off, it's just purely clean metal underneath.
So if you guys want peace of mind, you want to protect your investment, add value to your investment, you got to check out NH Oil Undercoating.
Welcome back to more Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Sam goes with Painless Performance to wire up the new LS engine he's installed in his right-hand drive MKIII Supra. Once everything's wired up, Sam goes ahead and tunes the computer in preparation for the turbos.
I got my Supra back in the shop. If you remember, I put an LS engine in it with a T56 6-speed behind it from American Powertrain. It's that time to make it run, so I went to Painless Performance, got me a controller kit for the LS engine, gonna hook it all up, gonna make this run. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to do it at home. Okay, so if you guys are gonna be running an LS engine, whether it's a 24 tooth or a 58 tooth, Painless Performance has the kit for your application. If you're running a 24 tooth, you can be running these old primitive computers. They're a dime a dozen at the salvage yard. You can pick those up, no problem. Same thing with an E38, later one, 58 tooth. They've got the kit for that as well. I've got a 6-liter in mine, so it's a 24 tooth, okay? In the box, you're gonna get the instructions. And the instructions are completely detailed, showing you exactly what you need to do. Comes with the relays. It even comes with an automatic transmission harness if you're running an automatic. So now, I'm gonna go inside and I'll show you that it even has a OBD2 connector, a check engine light, everything on the inside, so you can make this thing work just like a factory car, be able to diagnose it, get check engine lights, read the computer, flash the computer for when you're tuning it. It's all there. So let's go inside and I'll show you that. If you look at the painless wire harness, you'll see that it even comes with the fuse block. All your fuses, the relay for the fans, the relay for the fuel pump, everything is in there. It's all incorporated into the fuse panel and the harness that goes inside. And it's all labeled all the way through. This right here is going to be our check engine light and our OBD2 connector. We're going to put this somewhere in the car where you can visibly see it and you can get access to that OBD2 port so that we can tune it, because I'm going to go in there and turn everything off. The computer very easily plugs in. Now, my old computer was laying right here on the floor for quick, easy access. We're not a show car or anything like that, so my harness is going to look just like this. I'm going to put this right back right here. I'm going to put my fuse block next to the other fuse blocks, so it's all in one location. What I have here is a 6-liter with LS3 heads, so that's why you're seeing an LS3 intake manifold. But it does have a 24 tooth reluctor wheel. I went ahead and installed a cam kit from Summit Racing. This is the alternator wire. I'm going to have to extend this because the alternator's down there, so I need about 6 more inches on this guy. O2 sensor wires, they're going to go down there, both of them. They're going to be on the crossover tube where the turbo pipe runs. The map sensor, LS3 is in the front, LS1 and 2 are in the back, so I do have to both change the connector because the LS3 is different and lengthen that wire. I'm going to run speed density, so I got to extend that and then plug in all my plugs. We've got one coil missing, and then we should be good to go. All right, so when you guys are doing your solder, you're going to put the wires together, introduce some heat, making the exposed wire hot, and then you're going to just take your solder, and it's going to draw it in. You don't want to introduce too much heat because you'll make the wire weak on both sides of the solder. So in a high vibration application, you don't want to use solder, you want to use butt connectors. And then what I do is I extract the metal out of the butt connector so that I don't have this big bulky thing, and then I use heat shrink with the middle. And that makes for a good solid connection. Something like a race car, a buggy, anything that's got high vibration, you want to use butt connectors. All right, so I got my Painless Performance engine controller kit fully installed. I've even gone in with my laptop and tuned everything, turning everything off that I don't need, letting it know it's got a camshaft. So once I install the turbo components, this thing should fire right up.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Teddy's 92 Camaro engine swap is closer to being completed. Sam installs the accessory kit that comes with the 383 crate engine from Ed Morris Automotive. After the accessories are completed, Sam moves on to installing the radiator kit from Cold Case Radiators.
Now the accessories are just like the accessories that came off the 305 engine. It came with the Deluxe 383 kit. So I don't want Teddy to get stranded anywhere. Everything is gonna be brand new. Everything's gonna fit just like it did factory. The AC hoses, everything's gonna be just like factory. That's really nice. I'm gonna put a cold case radiator module in. You guys see me use that many times. I pretty much use cold case on every project that I have. So continuing on with the Ed Morris Automotive Group Camaro project, this thing's gonna be awesome when it's done. Now, when you guys get this 383 Deluxe kit from Ed Morris Automotive Group, you're gonna get this nice accessory kit that comes with the entire engine. It's a turnkey application. So this is everything that would have come on this car stock, except it's all brand new. And it's all nicely labeled for you to very easily install everything. And the beauty is that you do not have to remove the power steering pulley to install the power steering and alternator combination bracket. That makes it very nice. All I gotta do is install the power steering bracket that holds the alternator in place, the AC bracket that eliminates the smog pump because we don't need emissions anymore, put my accessories on those brackets, put the belt on, call it a day. A lot of this hardware goes into the aluminum brackets. Do not make those too tight, you will pull the threads off. I've got my new location for what's going to feed the heater control valve. I have an inlet right here. That inlet used to go to the back, but there's nothing back there. There is a port here and there's a port here, but I don't want to disturb those ports. Doesn't look as good. I'll position it right there so that I have a pretty straight shot. Now this is a brand new AC compressor, so you will have to remove the old pressure switch off the back of the AC compressor that's installed with the snap ring and put it into the existing compressor that's going into the car. Make sure your snap ring is pressed in. These lines see up to 300 PSI of pressure. This thing will blow out like a bomb. Everything is installed. On the AC compressor, there is a bolt and a stud. The stud goes on the bottom towards the fender of the right side of the car, passenger side, because there's going to be a support bracket that goes from the compressor to the manifold once we get our header in place. The top one's just going to be a standard bolt. This is my radiator support. It's the upper bracket that basically holds the radiator in place. My cold case radiator is a 3-row, so I do have to remove the rubber. I'm going to put a little piece of rubber inside of here. That way the radiator will fit within this provision right here. However, I have to cut this off completely because this area that held the original fan in place will not clear the cold case fan. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off using my hem saw bandsaw. The front accessories are pretty much just like the factory accessories that came on the 305 engine. It's just a brand new kit that GM uses for the Deluxe 383 kit. Now you do have to replace the water pump. The water pump's going to be in the kit. The one that comes on the engine has a bung on it that's going to not clear this upper bracket. All right, so you got to change out that water pump, but they do give you the gaskets and they give you the plug for where I put a heater fitting to run straight to my heater valve right here, and that way everything's gonna work just like factory. The other hose goes straight to the top of the cold case radiator right there, and we should be good to go. This is an R12 system. I am gonna convert it to an R134, so I'm gonna get 2 fittings from my local auto parts store, put a high and a low side on there, that way I can make everything function just like it did factory, except with new Freon. Now don't forget, next week we're going to be continuing on with Teddy's Camaro project. We're going to install the EFI that comes with this engine, and then we'll be ready for that transmission to be installed.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Sam's Garage. Teddy's 92 Camaro now has the throttle and kickdown cables installed. The AC system in Doug's Mustang is finally completed. Sam's Supra drag car now has a new engine wiring harness, and Teddy's Camaro has all the engine accessories and cooling components installed.